Health and happiness, everyone. Welcome to the Strength and Motion Show, an online experience curated specifically for the members and fans of Strength and Motion Academy. If you haven't heard of our space before, we are a 24/7 gym in Midvale, Western Australia, and our goal is to provide a space where people can build a strong and mobile body using a functional and holistic health approach to training and life. Today, we are talking nutrition. If you listen to our previous episode, you'll understand that nutrition is number 2 of 4 pillars that we prioritize down at our gym and our coaching. Movement, nutrition, sleep, and stress are our 4 pillars that we promote to all our members and our clients with the hope that they can build a solid foundation within their health, strength, and well-being. Anybody who lifts regularly and strives to be healthy knows that the 1 to 2 hours a day that we spend in the gym is only a fraction of the big picture. Our sleep, our lifestyle, our mental health, and our habits will all have a major influence on health and ultimately our entire existence. So if you're a regular if you are a regular at the common commercial gym and looking for a healthy change, or if you're a complete beginner who is ready to start taking their first steps into their fitness journey, then listen on. So sitting across me is Nav. Welcome to episode 3.
Hello. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Nav, please tell me, kick this episode off. What's your experience with nutrition and why is it so important to you, and why do you feel the need to monitor your clients' nutrition?
Beautiful. Awesome. So I think it's very important to get back to the intention behind my health and fitness journey originally anyway. So I was young. I started really getting into it when I was about 19 years old was when I took it serious and nutrition became a factor to my life.
How long ago was 19 years ago, Nav?
Ooh, coming up to 12 now. So
yeah.
I've been a coach for 14 years now, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
And it was 19 when I started, and at the time I just really wanted to gain a lot of muscle. I had a lot of bad behaviors in my life that I ended up getting really lean. I was doing a lot of partying and what have you. So I didn't take a lot of care of my body or my well-being. And so it started out just trying to gain muscle for my own self-confidence. And obviously I want to be attractive, I want to kind of like...
Me too. Me free.
Yeah, so I think it's important to accept that,
Absolutely.
So I want to be aesthetic. I want to be sexy. And so in my first 10 weeks, I started working away for immigration. I gained 14 kilos.
Wow.
And the reason why I think that's important to express is because I originally had pretty much, I was very, very lean. I was very skinny, right? I think I weighed 57 kilos and I weighed 71 by the end of it.
Wow.
And what my first exposure to it was trying to eat as much food as possible because I couldn't gain weight.
Yeah.
It was so hard for me to gain weight. And so for all those individuals that struggle to gain lean muscle mass or gain size at all, I totally understand. I get it. I literally jumped on YouTube and studied so many individuals that were professional eaters because I wanted to learn how to expand my esophagus and to increase my appetite to get food down.
So when you say, sorry to cut you off, when you say a professional eater, are you talking about those people that go to
competitive eaters?
Yeah, like soft. Okay, right. I didn't know this about you.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
I only expressed this recently to Ocean, my partner.
Right.
Yeah. But it's something I just never really spoke about.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know you could expand your esophagus.
Yeah. So what I had to do was firstly get big gulps of water into my mouth and swallow it as aggressively as possible to open it up so then I could feel more comfortable getting food in, and then I would do it with oats, and then you'll do it with food, and you'll progress into harder food so you don't actually choke.
So is that like in a session you sit down and you smash you just start sculling water and then you scull oats, and then, or do you actually like training, you progressively overload yourself over a period of weeks? Like training, like anything else.
Wow,
there's a progressive overload plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever had that where you just trying to swallow something and it's sore in your throat.
Yeah. You know me, I always choke on my food. If anyone knows me, I always choke on my food. I just try and talk at the same time and I'm always choking. So
Yeah. And that's what it started out for me. So I did it with oats, and then there was probably on average about 3 days a week where I would vomit from standing over the sink, trying to force water down and trying to drink it down, get food down and try and drink it down with water.
Right.
Because I couldn't get food down. I didn't have the appetite. And so I had to force myself because it was the only way. It was the only way for me to get to a point that I would actually gain size.
That makes sense.
And I gained 14 kilos, so it clearly worked.
It did work, yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then eventually got to a point where my nutrition changed because my goals changed, like whether it was for powerlifting, so relative strength, I needed to stay at a certain body weight, but I needed to perform as well. So I had to track my calories and measure my food to make sure not only that I had the right amount of calories to keep it a lean weight to lift heavy, but also so I didn't feel like crap in the gym as well, because that was a factor as well.
I was going to say, surely you felt like shit from like smashing all that food down, right? Like
I didn't feel good at the start. No,
yeah, food coma. You know, there's like lethargic and stuff, right?
Yeah, I made all the mistakes. I ate like, there was a point where I was eating like a kilo of peanuts a day. I was having like a liter of milk a day. I was doing whatever it took, like mass gainers, thinking, oh, okay, have a mass gainer, I'm gonna get jacked and huge.
Yeah.
I did, but I felt like crap, and I think my like impact to lactose was that's where it started, definitely.
Right. Yeah. You're just traumatizing your body with milk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and peanuts apparently.
And peanuts. Yeah. Do you eat peanuts now?
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with
cool.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Not so much dairy and gluten, but that's for other reasons like inflammation or whatever.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's pretty much my journey. So then it moved into like powerlifting and Muay Thai and martial arts. So
yeah. Do you get that in a lot of clients now as well? Are they on similar wavelengths with just trying to like get food in? Where are your common clients at?
Yeah, great question. Weirdly enough, it is, you tend to get two people, right? People that eat or indulge in too much. They might undereat on a mostly daily basis, then binge eat on food when there's, which we'll dive into the relationship with food and what have you. For guys, it's quite common not to eat enough food. Yeah. Because they work a lot as well. It's quite common for a guy to be on the road or doing a tradie job and they're just not eating enough. So helping them find ways like,
it's actually also, side note, it's common on my female clients as well, not eating enough as well.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. Yeah, I had the same thing with females as well. Yeah. And it's like those little tricks and tips that I've learned, that you've learned, like shakes or things you could eat on the go that you could just get calories in that are also healthy and you respond to well and help them get the results that they want.
Yeah, I see. That's really, really cool. With your nutrition journey, was there any like key like aha moments? Like you were 19. How long were you messing around with what you just shared, and then how, like, talk me through the timeline, because I genuinely don't know this as well. So I'd like for myself and the listeners to know from 19 to 30 now, when did you start to shift that mentality, and was there a few moments when you're like, oh, okay, or did you pick up a book or did someone say something, you're like, oh no shit, like what were some of those moments, Nav?
Yeah, great question. Good questions.
Yeah, appreciate it.
When I was 19, I started just eating heaps of food, right? And that probably lasted until I was about 21. Then when I was 21, I started to gain more awareness around, I don't feel the greatest. Like there are certain foods that make me feel lethargic, that make me tired, and I just didn't have the time or space for that. You know, I just wanted to keep working and hustling and changing my life and doing the things that I could, and the quality of the food I was eating was impacting that. So that's when it kind of changed for me. I started my first PT studio when I was 22. And so that became a really important time because I had to eat for not only performance in the gym, but also to run a business. Yeah. As you're aware, running a business.
And to be a role model as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And running a business isn't easy. And so,
man, tell me about it.
The desire to like be as productive as I could be really shifted my approach to nutrition from a quality standpoint. And then I did my precision nutrition cert when I was around 23.
That's Dr. John Berardi, right?
Yes. Yeah. John Berardi's precision nutrition certificate. And then that really helped me gain more understanding around the quality of food, minerals, vitamins, fiber as well, portion controlling, calories on a deeper level. I started to then also like Lane Norton and If It Fits Your Macros came up into the conversation. And so that's when it started to change from that. And then when we started SMA together, that was when I started slowly diving into gluten and dairy and brain function, nootropics, neurotransmitters, the gut, and how neurotransmitters are creating the gut into the brain. And
interesting.
And then just here I am now at 30, still learning.
Yeah.
Caffeine, as you're aware, is a big aspect of my life right now that I've cut out.
Yeah, I haven't, but Nav has. Coffee this morning.
Yeah. And it's because I was having coffee and then with my tracking of my Whoop and then my HRV was out of whack and the impacts of that, my gut health. And so it's still to this day an ongoing journey.
Yeah, cool. Nav just mentioned that he's got a Whoop. If you don't know what a Whoop is very similar to a Fitbit. A Fitbit is generally more orientated for beginners to health and fitness. Whoop starts to give you more of those more deeper internal data and figures that I guess more of the nerdier people and people who train a lot more tend to get excited about, including us.
Including us. Nerdy lifters.
Yeah. And people just want that street clout, just to be a part of the Whoop community as well.
Yeah,
like anything, a lot of the things we buy is just for status, and it's good to be part of the Whoop community. I can actually say I'm prouder to be part of the Whoop community than the Fitbit community.
Oh, for sure.
Not saying that nothing's bad about it. I would actually recommend a Fitbit for people who don't have one or an Apple Watch, but especially if you're getting into, 6 sessions a week training, even onwards, once you start doing those double sessions, then those Whoops really, really make a difference. And that's what you and I do, as well as our long work hours as well. And also just sleep. A few of my clients that aren't training as often, but are super enthusiastic about their sleep, Whoop is, again, a thing that I love. Yeah. Cool. Moving forward, what's my next note on here? So, Nav, we just discussed why it's so important to you and why there is a need to coach it. May I share a few moments about my journey as well?
Please do. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing yours. Maybe there's something I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you'll definitely know that I was bullied for being the small Asian kid, the skinny Asian boy, which I was also proud of because it got me, that was where my desire to be a ninja came from. I was like wanting to be agile around the place, but I found out that my own insecurities and my desire to want to feel that status and feel like I could be recognized in my high school years and wanting to stand out from the crowd. I'm an extrovert by nature, and so wanting to stand out, it didn't really happen because I was also a late bloomer in terms of puberty as well. So I carried a lot of more that frustration earlier on that I felt a little bit beta in my high school years.
Yeah.
And that was some of my fuel to what got me into the gym, because I was like, you know what? No, we're gonna get into the gym. We're gonna get ooge, and then I actually remember telling the girl I was in love with in high school, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be jacked in six weeks. I'm just over the Christmas holidays. And she was like, yeah, do it, because she wanted me to be hot too. And then I tried getting hell big in 6 weeks, and I just came back the same size. And I'm like, oh damn it, we gotta get a move on. And then I ended up watching I think you do know this movie. Do you know Never Back Down?
Of course.
Yeah, and they're smashing raw eggs. Yeah. Never Back Down's like a Hollywood movie of these guys getting the MMA and all this kind of stuff. It's very Hollywood, but I actually still love it. I would watch it again.
Yeah.
But they were just smashing. They were doing their training montages, and they're doing all their MMA and BJJ stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I want to get huge and feel confident too. And in the movie, they were sculling raw eggs. So what did I start doing? Like 2 or 3 eggs in the glass and just fucking all the way down the hatch like every night. And it actually, to be honest, I was actually super consistent with that, and I actually did start to develop a small amount of physique, but it wasn't until I actually started, it was more so when I got my driver's license. I felt like I had the freedom to train whenever I want, and I was playing soccer at the time as well, so I was always super lean, super agile, cardiovascularly very strong, but again, struggled very, very hard to put on lots of weight as well. And then so I went into the supplement store from a guy, one of the guys from the soccer club actually owned it. I won't say his name, but I think you do know him. He was he actually, no, you do know him. He owned I was just gonna say he was at the place where Nick used to be at.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like a fast-talking salesman. He was like, yeah, bro, you need the whey and the mass gainer. He just wanted to pump off a sale. But yeah, so then I'd started sculling all those things back then and there. And I was always just walking around with this like little Prego belly. I just always felt really thick, very thick in here. And I also remember moments I would just scull so much like thick liquid that like I couldn't inhale properly. And just the lungs don't expand because there's just no space in I could feel my abdominal stretching. But the thing that was lucky for me was, as a lot of my Instagram followers know, I'm adamant about being consistent with habits. And so I actually did get results by consistently smashing food. But the barriers for me were actually not knowing how to cook properly. I didn't know how to cook. I was so I've got an Asian mother who loves to do everything for me. And so I was just, because I wanted that freedom, I was like, get off, mum, leave me alone. So I actually ended up YouTubing as well. YouTube was my resource to learn how to cook. And once I had my license, I just started doing trial and error with all those things. And so over that time, I was just a person that just did trial and error. And I did trial and error for years and years and years. And I was just playing sport the whole time anyway. So playing a seasonal sport like soccer was my thing. I was always locked into a thing. So I was showing up to training every single time. I was showing up to the gym every single time. And so I progressively got larger and larger, never massive, but the way I built my aesthetic, which I did end up becoming proud of it because I did become a male stripper and I was really happy with that. And that's a different psychological journey to talk about because I did achieve the physique that I wanted and still didn't feel enough. And it was a bigger journey of actually seeing myself succeed through certain challenges in life, which is what built my confidence, not building the muscles themselves. But that was my journey of I kind of had to carry myself and self-teach my way to go through it. I was just blessed that I was a sport player, so I had that accountability to show up, and that gave me the consistency. And it was the consistency of continuing to eat and continuing to work through that actually got me my results. And then, as you know, we had a bunch of coaches, and Nikita, the naturopath that was part of the gym as well, she brought our attention towards the health-based lifestyle and minimizing inflammation. And as a matter of fact, I had a surgery that it was just the most challenging, most painful experience of my life. Excuse me. The gym almost went under. I remember it. I had an arthroscopic surgery, which is like a keyhole surgery where you're meant to get cleaned out walking the next day. And I was like, yeah, Nav, I'm just going to hospital, getting my ankle fixed. I'll see you tomorrow. Next minute. Like it was 6 weeks on crutches. I was in bed with my leg elevated for 4 weeks. So what had happened is, if anyone knows what a hematoma is, I had like a double hematoma. So my ankle had burst the next morning in the room that I was in, the healing room, I guess, in my bed. And then I had to go back into surgery again a second time. And then my ankle was just thick. And it's actually, I don't really want to name the surgeon again because he's actually got a good reputation, and he actually has helped a lot of our close friends as well, as a matter of fact, he's worked on. But I guess I was probably one of his casualties, and my ankle is still quite locked, and it's been 7 years now. But the blessing of that is that because I was so sick, I had to learn what inflammation was. And inflammation is... if your body is highly inflamed when you're trying to heal, it just interferes with everything in the body. It just wasn't healing. And so when I had to look at my nutrition, I had to clean everything up, and I had to eliminate inflammatory foods like gluten and dairy, and I reduced my caffeine intake. I started introducing myself to cold showers because that was pretty much the conversation around helping inflammation. And, that helped my ankle. It didn't really help my ankle, the swelling go down. It's still just locked, but I just felt better. My energy levels improved. My skin improved. I had a bit more vibrancy to myself as well. And so I live that life forever now as well, because I've actually experienced the contrast of what it's like to have some brain fog compared to not having brain fog, that heaviness in the body and in the mind as well. Is there anything you want to add to that, Nav? Because I'd like to move on to, talking about psychology around food.
I'm excited for this one, so let's dive into it.
Psychology around food. So Nav and I, we're working very hard in the background to build the SMA nutrition system, and we're just collaborating very heavily on what are the things that the public needs, what do people need in order just to get fitter and healthier and get control over their training, get control over their nutrition. And as we have discussed this back and forth, not in us, just with the team and the coaches and figuring out with our clients as well, there are two key categories to nutritional skills. Category number one, Nav?
I'm not too sure what...
Psychological skills.
Okay,
Sorry, I sprung that on you.
I wasn't sure where you're going, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So, psychological skills. And then number two, technical skills. There we go. Sorry.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
I know where you're at now.
Yeah, we could have been anything, right? But yeah. So psychological skills, I call anything to do with your relationship with yourself and the things going on in your mind. It's your ability to adhere to habits, your ability to adhere to a nutrition plan. And then the technical skills are actually like understanding what calories and macros are, getting your energy balance right. And what the nutrition world tends to focus on is the technical skills. And when you and I were both entering our nutritional journeys, you and I both went on I was trying to, how do I cook better? How do I get, what even is protein? How do I get that in? But a big issue that I had was my relationship with myself. Like, why did I want to get so jacked in the first place? Because I felt inadequate.
Yeah.
In the example of some of my clients, a lot of my clients are too scared to eat food in fear of gaining weight. And so my weight loss clients have very low functioning metabolisms. Their body doesn't break down food very well because it just doesn't do it that much. It's like a skill that you don't do that's the reason I call it a skill, because if you're not doing something regularly, you're not as fluent with it. You know, I say to my clients a lot, if you have a 2-week holiday and you jump back on the laptop and you try to type again, every now and then you miss a key, you know, or you pick up a musical instrument and you haven't played it regularly, and so there's just a few more stuff ups here and there. But after you start playing your guitar regularly, your piano regularly, or typing on the keyboard regularly, then it becomes more fluent. And that's the same thing with someone's digestion, their food, their ability to eat food and break that down. If their body's not doing it often, of course it's going to struggle with it. And so why are they not eating enough food in the first place? Have they been misinformed, or are they scared? Has someone said something to them that has turned them off the food, or have they had a bad, it could be anything, but that's the thing that I really have to raise with my clients is like, okay, we're going to do a meal plan for you. I got no problems doing that. I really enjoy doing meal plans because cooking is fun, but I have to raise the discussion that we need to at least consider our psychology. And it's also a hard thing as a coach because we're not psychologists. Yeah. We're very caring people, most of us. We're very caring people. And we want the best for our clients, but there's also a line that we have to draw within our clients as well, saying like, I can't sit here all day and listen to your stuff because I'm like, I want to and I would, but I'm probably not the best person to do that. But I at least am capable enough to raise the conversation and put it out into the open, bring it into their awareness. You've got your life coaching cert, so you've got a lot more experience in understanding how to work with people. Yeah. I've just got more experience in talking shit with hundreds of thousands of people just spilling beans.
Mine is talking shit, but with some certificates behind it.
Yeah, with some certificates. Yeah. And then a few more, I guess, protocols that you've learned and a few more principles.
They are helpful.
So let me scroll down here. So psychological skills. I've made a few dot points on my laptop that I'm looking over. So these are the ones that I've written down. Yeah. Number one, understanding why this is so important. And that's, again, that's what we were just talking about. It could be through just because you want to. It could be because it's now time to step up in life because you've got a new career, or you've actually really feeling comfortable in yourself and be like, no, this is what I want to spend the next couple of years doing. Or it could be that you might have a child on the way and be like, all right, I need to pick my game up. Or you may be in the, hopefully not, but you may have been diagnosed with diabetes or some sort of like chronic inflammation, or your skin's breaking out all the time, or you're so depressed that you can't get out of bed, and so we need to look at how you're fueling your body. And so there are some of the more drastic instances. The next thing is, again, is very similar, but your relationship with food / yourself. How do you see yourself? Can you even look in the mirror and be satisfied with the reflection that you see? And again, it could be a variety of reasons as to why this relationship with yourself is broken up. But one thing that needs to be acknowledged is, has it been broken up, or is it stable? Yeah. Another one, this is a big thing about with me as well, personal organization and being proactive. A lot of people always wait. They wait until they're hungry and they're like, okay, now I need to make a responsible food choice. That's not the time to make a responsible food choice, because you're in more of a survival state. You're less patient. A lot of people get hangry. And as you know, because Nav is actually, how long since you last ate, Nav?
Oh,
today, at the moment, you're fasting?
Well, I haven't eaten since last night. So I haven't eaten since, 8 p.m.? So yeah, coming up to 17 hours or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So Nav's actually fasting because he's just wanting to minimize the inflammation on his body. Yep. You've got your favorite naughty meal. Nav and I both share the favorite naughty meal. What's your favorite naughty meal,
Burgers.
Nav? Burgers.
I think majority of SMA coaches are the burger team.
Yeah. Right? We're team burgers. Yeah. We love burgers. Gluten-free burgers.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. All that potato bun.
Potato buns.
Bun's good. Again, gluten's very inflammatory, and it triggers that you just feel more average. And also, I can share this. Like, it's definitely a true thing for all people. It's just my poos aren't that good too. So
and it's an important marker to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not doing it, you need to look at your poos more often. Before you wipe, you can't bury it under the paper. You got to have a squeeze.
Out of mind.
I think this is a hilarious thing, but I have a habit tracker on my phone to make sure that I'm not, I don't bring my phone on the toilet. But depending on what toilet you're on, I do actually say bring your phone if you need to bring your flashlight so you can look at your poo, just so you can see in the bowl better. You know what I mean? So,
how dark is this room that you're going to the toilet?
Well, no, just some no. I knew that was going to come up. I knew that was coming, but. Some toilets, wherever the light's positioned, my doodle's in the way. Not that it's this giant overcasting shadow thing that just like, it's like a giant umbrella. My doodle's not anyway.
Okay. We're not humble brag.
Yeah, we're not going down there. We're talking about poos and doodles, but definitely exercise the habit of continuing to just pay attention. Pay attention to your bowel movements, which means how you feel before, during, and after.
Yeah, absolutely.
So personal organization, being proactive. So you want to start considering the food that's going to go into your body before your day starts, before you get hungry. And
also the food that you don't want to be eating. The food that you're challenged by. You want to make them as hard as possible to attain and make the food that you want to be eating as easily accessible as possible. If you want to be eating a healthy lunch and your lunch isn't even close to being near you to be consumed. If your lunch is at home and you're out on the road. What are you going to be doing?
Literally. Yeah. And one thing, though, just a memory popped up is when we talk about that to our clients and people say, but it's hard because my work's near this fast food joint, or it's hard because of X, Y, Z. Yes, it is hard. And in my own personal experience, my way of actually overcoming that challenge is to just not deny myself that it's hard. I'm like, it's hard, but it doesn't change the situation. Just acknowledging that it's hard and still choosing to persevere through that and continue to be even more proactive about that is actually the only solution. Actually saying, like, using hard as an excuse is not really helpful. Using hard as just a way to acknowledge what the truth is and then moving through that. Fantastic.
I think also on that, it's important to accept that there's going to be effort on either end.
That
if you're still going to Hungry Jack's or McDonald's to buy the food, although it might be easier in one aspect of life, it's also harder in the fact that you're now indulging in McDonald's or Hungry Jack's. And there may be a part of you that is also recognizing that that isn't in alignment with what you want to achieve. And to me, yes, it's hard for me to stay true and disciplined to my nutrition.
Absolutely.
However, for me to go against myself and my own health and well-being to buy McDonald's or KFC, to me, that's still effort. And I'd rather put effort into something that's going to bring me a greater reward.
It is true. Yeah, it's very true there. And from my own experience, even though I haven't had fast food in a very long time, the guilt I would feel, that's still just as heavy. And then the psychological load is just as big anyway. So that's a really cool thing to add. And the last one is that I've got written down here is eating for nourishment versus eating for stimulation, boredom, suffering, distractions, or avoidance. You know, it's like, ask yourself, why are you hungry? Because a lot of the time, you're not even hungry. It's actually you're just bored and you snack, or you're just grazing because it's nice to occupy yourself with doing something. Or actually, and I have it a lot actually, my thing was going to Boss Brown down the road from the gym, a lovely cafe coffee shop. Whenever I was just fed up, I was like, I'm going to Boss Brown. Who wants a smoothie? And then I'd actually buy a round of coffees or teas or whatever. I just walk in the office. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And then I'd drop like $30, $40 and be like, yes. And just to mask the fact that I was tired or fatigued or stressed or anxious or something like that. So all in the name of eating for nourishment. It doesn't matter if you're eating for stimulation, for boredom, for suffering. It's the fact that it's either nourishment or not nourishment. That's my favorite buzzword is eating for nourishment. So in summary, we're not psychologists, but you have to acknowledge that there's a massive psychological influence on the way you make your decisions around food. Nav, anything you want to add before we pause the cameras, reset the batteries, and move to part 2, the technical skills?
Well, let's get into the part 2, seeing that we need to pause the cameras. So.
Yeah, I think we've got about 30 seconds before that camera drops out. All right, so we're going to pause. What's the noise?
The bottom right.
The bottom right, that one. Here we go. We're going to pause. Oh, it's so fun. We've got a little deck here with the buttons on it. There we go. That's my magic noise. All right, we'll see you for part 2, team. Nutrition. All right. Here we're back for part 2. Here we go. So, welcome back. We have reset our cameras and we're ready to roll into the next segment of the technical side of things. Technical side of thing, again, is a lot of the words we're using. If you have had some previous exposure to some nutritional stuff or been scrolling through the social medias, these are the words that things like calories and macronutrients and protein. These are the things that you may have been more familiar with. If you're not, we're going to fill those gaps straight away. So I want to kick off here because, Nav, you had a really good foundation here with your bodybuilding history, and you also had your nutrition cert with Dr. John Berardi. So when you were doing that, I'd love you to share 1 or 2 points about what were the key things that you were taught as a coach to coach people on. What were some of the key focal areas that they had you explaining to your clients?
Yeah, awesome. So the first one that comes to mind is calories. Because calories are key for whatever result that we want to achieve. If people don't know what calories truly are, I probably should start from there, really.
Yeah, let's do it.
Calorie is the energy value of food, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
And so as we live, as we walk, as we work, as we just alive, to be alive, it takes energy.
Yeah.
And so depending on how much exercise or how much movement, we're exerting an amount of energy from ourselves. Nutrition, food is the way that we gain energy. We gain some energy through the sun, but we're not like flowers that get it all from the sun, right? We need
osmosis.
we're not just only osmosis. Like we need to eat food to fuel ourselves for the performance, for the life that we live.
Yes. Yeah.
And then also for the goals and results that we want to achieve.
Yeah.
If you want to lose weight and you're overly indulging in energy, you're going to hold on to energy and that becomes fat. If you want to gain muscle, you need to eat enough to be able to feed the muscle, to be able to create muscle, right? If we're under eating, then we're most likely not going to be in a process of gaining weight. We're going to be losing weight.
Yes. Yeah.
Same thing for performance, which is where it gets a little bit trickier. Like if someone's an athlete and they want to maintain a certain amount of muscle mass and body weight, but they want to perform for their sport, then they need to find that sweet spot as well for their energy intake to fuel all of that.
Yes.
So number one is energy is key. Like we need to make sure. Yeah, we need to make sure that we're putting in the right amount of energy depending on the goals that we want to achieve. That was the biggest thing that like I think most of us learn, and that's very important. It guides most of what we're doing. The next one is moving into like the nutrient values. So the macronutrients being protein, carbs, and fats.
Right.
And this is what really now I have so much awareness around it. It's pretty common for me, but not many people probably are aware that there's 3 main macronutrients for food, being protein, carbs, and fats. All of them have different energy values and all of them have different purposes within the body. So if we look at protein, it's more so for protein synthesis and muscle recovery and building. And so protein is very, very important. It also has a slight higher thermic effect in the body. So it's also like leaner for you to eat and you gain more muscle.
I didn't actually know that about the thermic effect, but that's good.
Yeah, it's on par to carbs. So it's like 4
Yep.
calories per gram.
Yep.
But I think there's other processes occurring depending on what you're having within the body. So it's easier for the body to process.
Right.
Then carbs are mainly for energy and brain function and performance. So carbs aren't evil. Carbs are good.
Yep.
A lot of carbs also have certain micronutrients, which we'll dive into. And then fats. And fats are more so for to help with fat-soluble vitamins and breaking down and those vitamins and minerals, and then also helping with hormones. And so fats are really important for hormones. So especially for women, if you're under-eating and fats, that could have a negative impact on your hormones. And so there were the 2 major things that I learned was calories and macronutrients and the importance of utilizing them all depending on someone's goals and also someone's hormones, whether their insulin's a little bit out of whack, you might want to play around with carbs a little bit. And then the final, probably biggest thing that I learned was also that not all food is equal.
Yeah.
That you have a caloric intake, so you can lose weight off of eating McDonald's, and people have achieved that. People have done it off of like a specific energy intake, so they lost weight because they're eating less energy than they're putting out, right?
Yeah.
And so it is possible. However, that's not going to give you and provide you probably the fiber, the minerals, the vitamins. You're most likely going to have a lot of inflammation, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So you're going to be lethargic, you're going to be tired, you're not going to feel great.
Yeah.
And so although you might be able to achieve like a physical body that you might be more proud of than what you were prior, you're probably going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
And so that was a big factor that I learned through precision nutrition and ways to help individuals achieve that. So not just calorie counting, you don't have to calorie count.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Portion controlling is a great way for people to achieve the goals that they want to achieve.
Yeah.
However, with a lack of awareness around their energy output and the amount of food that they need to be intaking, it could take a long time to figure that out for yourself. Trial and error takes time. Like we've had that experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why I think it's very beneficial to pay someone like us to actually help you fast track that
You're
process.
paying for the experience so you don't make the same stupid mistakes that we did.
You're not eating a kilo of peanuts a day and
sculling eggs.
Yeah, sculling eggs, having a liter of milk and vomiting over the sink. Like we have those tips and tricks. We have the knowledge. We've experienced it for ourselves and our clients. We've worked with that many people now that we know what works and what tends to not work.
Yeah.
But they're the major factors that I've learned throughout that.
I resonate with that, man. I find that very interesting because in summary, for the listeners, what Nav's just shared is the quality and quantity. They're the two main things, right? So quantity is the total amount of fuel going into the body, which is the food that you eat, but then quality of that as well. And using myself an example, I could literally demolish a full box of Krispy Kreme donuts. And I'm very blessed that because I had the consistency, and I'm proud of my work ethic, as well as very lucky to have good genetics as well. I will actually own up to having good genetics. But it meant that I could retain my 6-pack whilst smashing a full box of Krispy Kremes and be proud of it. But in a very roundabout way, I really didn't understand that once I started to eliminate these inflammatory foods, my mood had changed. And I didn't expect it to happen, but it just did. And I even found you knew this when I was starting the gym. I was a lot more snappier. I was a lot more snappier. And obviously, it's not just the food that I've changed, but the food definitely had an influence on my snappiness. And it had an influence on my my patience, because obviously the more energy you have, more energized a human is, the more patient they can be. And when you're more patient, you can be more compassionate around people. And then you're just like a better dude to be around. And I didn't realize there was a link between that and nutrition. I thought it was just how full am I? You know, I'm feeling like it. I had I had the C word in my mouth. I shouldn't say that on the podcast. I was just in a real like shitty, snappy mood, but I thought I was like, people are just hangry or not. But there's also people just like, they're malnourished. They're just missing that nutrients. And
there's also neurotransmitters from the gut, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's 90% of the messages between the gut and the brain is the gut telling the brain. And then I think 80% of neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, what have you, are created from the gut. Wow. And so if we're impacting that microbiome in a negative way, that's going to impact our mood.
Yeah. That's also a fun fact. I just did some research on this like a couple of months ago, but dopamine is actually also the neurotransmitter that causes us to seek outwardly. And so without dopamine, you physically cannot move. People who cannot produce dopamine, they're literally stuck in a bed. I don't know what the condition is for it. There is a good podcast by Andrew Huberman that dives into that, and that's where I got that information from. And that was very eye-opening for me as well, because people are like, Josh, why are you so motivated? And I'm like, actually, I'm just full of dopamine. I'm just that guy. So that's just a really interesting thing that I wanted to throw in. So going back to this quality and quantity, conversation, we've also discussed this back and forth, because do you prioritize, if you had to prioritize one, would you prioritize quality or would you prioritize quantity? Now, I'm going to ask you in a second what your opinion on this is, Nav, because I genuinely also don't know, but I've been going back and forth for a while now, because again, building this nutrition system, wanting to know what's the right advice to give to the members and the clients. I used to say quantity first and then quality. I'm actually starting to lean back towards quality first, because quality is more reflective of that phase 1 psychological their psychological skills, because if people are choosing quality, it's displaying that they're mentally healthier. And so if you can't stick to quality, it then leads you to it helps me identify these people need to prioritize their psychological state and their well-being more. However, I'm more on preference that it's either or, depending on the person, because again, it's been taking me a while to figure out this nutrition system, because I'm like, fuck, how do you create a system for everyone? And the truth is you kind of can't, because the world's just too dynamic and people are too dynamic. And so what I'm thinking about at the moment is just developing a handful of strategies, and then a way for someone to say that I can identify more with a quality strategy. I can identify more with a nutrition strategy. A quantity. Quality or quantity?
I think you said quantity first, possibly.
Whichever one I said, the other one of the other one. Yeah. It really is, to me, at the current point in time, finding a strategy that works for you, so that you can be consistent. Because above everything, my opinion is that consistency is the most important thing, because that's where my experience comes from. All of my experiencing success is how long I've been able to stick with something, a project, i.e. getting bigger, getting leaner, whatever, stick with that, and also make those segmental adjustments along the way. What is your opinion on this, Nav?
Yeah, likewise. I actually have moved towards quality more so as I've moved on to my journey, because I found that if people had the space to, like, if it fits your macros, if they had the space to eat poorly, And we always give my clients 20%, 80-20, you know, 20%
I love
of
that.
having a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
However, if they had too much space, they're going to take advantage of that if their psychological relationship with food they're not as aware of it, or they don't have control of it.
Yeah.
And so try and help individuals create that control of it. And then also I tend to find that if someone's eating healthier to the point where there's less inflammation, less bloating, they feel more comfortable within their body. Also, if we look at performance, like bloating can impact breathing, it can impact posture and movement.
Yeah.
And so that impacts performance within the gym. And if then you're missing not only nutrition, but also movement, which are two important pillars. Then you also got stress and sleep being impacted.
Yeah.
And so we look at all 4 pillars, and then their quality of food is poor. That's going to impact the other 3 pillars. So
yeah, that is a very, that's a very holistic answer.
Thank you.
How holistic of you, Nav?
Thank you. I take the holistic way.
Yeah, hashtag the holistic way.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool conversation to have, is that even though on paper, in terms of the general science conversation, it's always calories in, calories out. I 100% agree with that, and I think on paper that's the truth. But when we look at actually how dynamic and multifaceted people are, again, when we look at their sleep and their nutrition and their stress levels, and again, just all of their lifestyle factors and their confidence levels, like a very common thing is if people, especially for females, because they put so much effort into their skincare, that skincare, the health of their skin is then related to their own self-confidence levels and their ability to adhere to things as well. And same as guys, one of my best mates actually had a massive skin issue. He was covered in acne to the point that he hated his skin so much that he kept trying to pop everything. But he also worked he started off working in fast food as well, and then also, unfortunately, because his family was a family of like lower income, then he just lacked quality of nutrients his whole entire teenage years, and he still has all those you can still see the scars because he was just popping, and his face is quite cut, and I can see how that's affected him in the long run, because even now, every time he's gone through his gym phases, it's all been around just get them in, get the calories in, doesn't matter what you eat, do a workout, go to KFC, load up, and that. Oh, and also, I've just been thinking about KFC a lot, and how you just the KFC. I haven't eaten KFC in literally years.
Likewise, I don't remember the last time.
I wouldn't want to, but I actually still remember how delicious, like how instantly satisfying it was. Not long term. I don't want to. I'm not going to look at my poo if I had a chicken, if I had a KFC bucket. But
you won't take the phone in for the light.
No, I wouldn't take the phone in. But I actually have recognized in myself that desire still exists. It's not enough to overpower my desire to not have it, but the desire still exists. And because I go for my runs now, and we have a few fast food restaurants near the gym, the whiff of fast food, I'm like, it just brings back those moments. I'm like, oh, I remember back then, and I remember the HJs, the Rodeo,
the storms and
the
everything.
storms, yeah.
You get apple pie with custard. They started like bringing apple pies with like
bringing it back,
sprinkles and custard. I don't know what they were
loading
doing,
it up. It just honestly,
the things out in the world these days.
I guess me not excited, but you could probably hear in my voice to the listeners is that
Josh's dopamine is going off. Right now.
I'm just like ping, 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 and I haven't had any of this stuff in yonks now, in literally years and years and years. But it was actually a client of mine. It was actually one of Chris's clients that I was looking after. But she asked me, she was just like, I think KFC came up, and she was just like, oh, do you still crave fast food? And I was like, honestly, yeah, I do. Like, I fucking would demolish a fucking burger like that. And she was so shocked by it because she's like, but you don't eat fast food. And I'm like, well, it was like an aha moment, like a little epitome is that I'm like, wow, maybe that's how I managed to not have it, is because I acknowledge within myself that it's like kryptonite in a way. It's not my true kryptonite, but it's still a thing that's desirable. Yeah. And just because we do desire it doesn't mean it's the only thing that's ever going to fulfill us and satisfy it. And I think it's just understanding of having that like the long-term satisfaction mindset, not just in food and just as a life metaphor, but delayed gratification. That's the one. Being okay with delayed gratification, because in the long run, it's always more rewarding.
You could always like two sides of the same coin as well, right? Like you could like both of them.
Yeah.
Right. And so you could like all the, let's say, naughty food, the bad food, if we were to label it. You could like that, but at the same point, you could also like being healthy. And it doesn't, like, both are present. It's just what is serving you the most, what is most resourceful, and what is more in alignment with you and what you want to achieve and how you want to live your life. And I think that's what's most important is really finding who you are and what is important to you and how you want to live your life and stay in alignment with that. Because if you have that North Star, it will lead you away from something like Hungry Jack's and KFC.
I 10 out of 10 agree with that and resonate. You know, it's the only reason I stopped having fast food is because I'm a guy with big dreams and ambitions. Yeah. That's the ambitious lifestyle.
Sitting on the couch and having KFC ain't going to get you there.
Nah, but I could back in the day. I could do it. And if I had no purpose, then 10 out of 10 I would. And I'm glad you raised that, because that leads us all the way back to that psychological phase first, because you have that North Star, the vision, the mission, the dreams of who you are and of the idea of or what you want to be, and also the belief in yourself that you can have that and you can be that, because I genuinely believe that yes, I deserve the dreams I want, just like Nav deserves the dreams that he wants, and everyone that's listening to this podcast, you as a human being have the right to chase and pursue your dreams. And if you let yourself chase and pursue those dreams, you'll very much find there's another like a pool of untapped motivation of dopamine, pool of untapped motivation to dig deep with and to fuel you as well. And also, motivation has no calories. Also, going back to other technical skills, I've written some more dot points here. Protein intake is very important. I also just communicate to my clients that protein intake is especially important because A, most people just undereat protein anyway, and B, because you're lifting now. People are specifically talking to me and Nav as coaches, as gym people, and be like, well, you're in a gym now, you're sitting in the office, you came here because you want to get stronger and fitter and faster, and so we now need to consider that our muscles need to recover as well, and actually our skin and our tendons and our ligaments need to repair, and so getting those actual physical building blocks into the system, into the body, so we can utilize them to sustain the growth that we want to have as well. So even if you're just lifting weights, which everybody should... everyone should be lifting weights. Intentionally moving. I should probably more reframe that as everyone should be exposing themselves to resistance. Exposing themselves. So even, swimming is resistance, running up a hill is resistance. But again, using weights, not in the traditional sense that you think of just classic bodybuilding and that kind of stuff, where a lot of those movements do still serve a purpose, but just moving with weights in a certain way.
Like a resistance tool. Like a resistance tool that allows you to intentionally create movement for better biomechanics or movement. Or
that's better. Yeah. That's well better said, Nav. Well better said. Oh, here we go. So protein intake, hydration intake is another common habit that I prioritize with clients. Just on the hydration intake note, you know how when you're getting up, you're leaving the house or something, you tap your pockets, like, okay, phone, keys, wallet. I don't know what the ladies, it's handbag and all the things they need in the handbag.
But then they lose it in their handbag.
They lose it in the handbag. It's like the bottomless pit, of what's in a woman's handbag. But we all have like a checklist that we follow in our head. What I push all my clients to do is you got to be a drink bottle owner. So it's phone, keys, wallet, drink bottle. And eventually, we're not going to have wallets anymore anyway. So eventually, it'd be cool if you could just. It's not really a thing, but. You know how wallets are going into your phone, into the NFC chip? It'd be cool if you could put a water bottle in your NFC chip.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, but it's a silly idea. But definitely be a water bottle owner.
Definitely.
Because...
Stainless steel.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a water bottle owner is a really... it's cool, no pun intended, it's cooler than you think. It has much more of an impact than you think. Quality versus quantity, we discussed. Calorie balance is really just the quantity conversation. Food tracking, again, is just understanding. That's what a calorie balance is. You can't really track your food without working with your calorie balance, because food tracking is just being able to measure it. You need to be able to measure how tall someone is. You need to be able to measure how much weights you lift. You need to be able to measure how much fuel you burn, which is how much calories or energy you're burning as well.
And what we don't measure,
you can't manage. Favorite quote over here. It's now the gym's favorite quote.
Yeah, it's a collective quote now.
One of many. Yeah. And then the other note I wrote here is supplements and common supplements prescribed. So supplements are what I describe as top of the pyramid. So think about 80-20 rule again. Like, people say, what supplement should I take? And I I always give like the rounded politician's answer. I'm like, yeah, I can give you an answer because there are a few answers with that, a few things that I do prescribe. I shouldn't say prescribe, but I do recommend that my clients have early on.
Yeah.
However, I always say that with the caveat. I'm like, these would be almost ineffective unless you sort out your psychological state and you really consider why this is so important to you, and also you start to develop your technical skills and being consistent with your nutrition and your foods that you're eating and getting quality in. Then when you have these extra nutrients coming in from these supplements, then you're winner chicken dinner. Everything's working well. So whilst we're on the topic of sups, do you want to, is there a couple of sups that you tend to prescribe? I keep saying the word prescribe. But
I get my doctor's paper out.
Yeah. You get your notebook. Yeah, it just says Nav on it. Yeah. I said this,
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that you recommend that your clients take regularly? And what do you take as well, Nav?
Yeah, I think ours would be very similar.
There would be,
Yeah. Zinc and magnesium, prime, number one. We're very high, very deficient in zinc and magnesium because of our soil and it's so poor.
Sure are.
And they're so important for our nervous system, for our muscle relaxing, and for our sleep. And so always recommend a zinc and magnesium before bed.
Yep.
However, you get really great products like Adrenal Switch from Nutrition.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I give that to most of my clients, and every single time, do not shit you, the first time they have it for the night, they message me the next morning like, best sleep ever.
Yeah.
It's like, there's not been a point where I've had that not happen. It happens every single time. So, and cool. I love hearing that from my clients.
Yeah.
Another one on top of that with the low nutrients within the soil is having a really good greens product. Most of the time we're not eating enough variety in our fruit and vegetables. We're probably not eating certain things like specific mushrooms or just specific things that we need within our body.
Yes.
That a simple greens product is going to actually provide. And most of my clients, same thing. They have a detoxing period afterwards, and they find greater energy, greater mood, greater digestion, and that's all round. And then the other two will be a fish oil and also a vitamin D.
Yeah, vitamin D is a good one as well.
Yeah. Super cheap, super easy to get. Get a good product. It's very important to find a good product. But they tend to be my products that I recommend to people.
Yeah, cool. That's really good.
What about yourself?
I'm pretty much almost as similar. Yeah, almost similar. I have a conversation with my clients. Is like let's raise our baseline. Yeah, so again, a multivitamin and a greens. Always again finding a company that you feel is quite reputable as well, and then finding a greens and finding a multivitamin just helps you raise your baseline. It's just going to get you a handful of nutrients in that you might be missing, because also is the conversation that if we microwave our food, it zaps all of the nutrients anyway. So if you are someone who likes to eat organic fruits and vegetables or organic anything and you're microwaving it, it kind of defeats the purpose of having that organic as well. So that's just a side note. And so if you are buying quality nutrients, then you need to be aware that nutrient dense food, the microwave can actually reduce the nutrient level of some of those. But another thing I wanted to say just on the greens conversation is a lot of clients just say, well, can I just like skip eating vegetables and then have my greens shake? And so I say kinda, because if they're asking that question, it means they fucking hate vegetables, or they're not ready to start eating lots of vegetables. So I say, for now, yes, because it's still a step in the right direction, but it's not addressing your habits and your relationship around food, which is always bring it back to, I'm like, we need to think about how we're operating as a human and how we're just living life and being more nourishing, thinking nourishment rather than just ticking boxes. Did I get my greens in? Did I eat my food? It's like, did I live a good day today? And did I nurture myself, and did I encourage myself with my health and my nutrition? And did I prioritize myself? That's a really important thing in my eyes as a coach as well. And so, yes, greens are helpful, but a step in the right direction. On the note of, so yes, I'm the same with you as well, Nav. The only other thing that I wanted to say is that I may not have specifically Adrenal Switch, even though I have it and I love it. But at nighttime, sometimes I'm not in the mood to have something like a cold drink. Sometimes I like to smash a tea or something. And so what I'll have instead is like a bone broth. I love miso soup as well. Not, I was going to say because I'm Asian as well, but maybe it is, even though miso soups, I think it's Japanese. I'm Filipino, so I don't think we have miso soup.
I'm Caucasian. So.
You're the other Asian. But what I would do instead is have another adrenal support. So any sort of natural herb-based supplement that helps us helps our body downregulate itself. That's the goal. An adrenal switch, the product itself, which Nav and I both have, and we give it to our clients as well. That has a bunch of adaptogenic herbs, is what they call adaptogens. Adaptogens are herbs that help your body regulate things, and in specific, what we're talking about is helping nurture the adrenal glands, because the adrenal glands pump out adrenaline and cortisol, and in the overstimulated world that we live in, then it's good to give that part of the body a bit of a nudge and a bit of assistance as well. And theanine I've got theanine on hand. Theanine's green tea extract, but it's not actually it's not necessary to have. It's just good if I want to have a big old sleep, So theanine's a good fun one as well. But the suite that Nav said, I'm exactly the same. So let's pause again. Let me do it. There we go. Camera reset again, and we're going to finish off with our last final segment for the show. Be back soon, guys. Thank you. All right, I'm going to have to press the button again. Here we go, listeners. Hopefully, every episode we can find a new sound, and that can be anyway, this is the other sound we've got. There we go. Beep, beep, beep. Okay, all right, back on track, guys. So, part 3 of the show, we want to start landing the plane. We have given loads of information, and I actually really enjoy talking about this, as I do every single episode, but nutrition has been such an influential factor in my life, to the point that it's actually helped me discover a passion in cooking and food. Like I legitimately look forward to cooking food. Like a Saturday night, if I'm going to stay home, I'm like, let's just cook a wicked meal. So I genuinely look forward to that. So, and I'm sure you're getting hungry about the food that you're going to have tonight for yourself.
I cannot wait. But that's just making me think about, like, I used to be a big gamer, so I bring that into all areas of life and look at food as if it's like I'm making a potion, or, I'm making something that just levels me up or gives me, I look at food that way as well. So,
well, to be honest, in like, your food is your health bar in many games as well, and it's like in the game of life analogy, it really is like food and oxygen. So we want to give our listeners a bunch of action steps now. So Nav, I'd actually like you to take control of this, if you don't mind. For the listeners, what would be the first 3 steps people should be taking if they want to get the nutrition sorted? Just be like good at nutrition. What should they start be doing?
Awesome. So the first one is getting consistent with healthy eating. So as we already mentioned, there's so many benefits to healthy eating in regards to inflammation, your gut health, mood, state, everything like that. But also, as you already mentioned, is the psychological relationship we build with food.
Yeah.
Bringing the intention of eating healthy for a specific purpose, like building that relationship with our food and ourselves. So create consistency with healthy eating and pay attention to your relationship with food and when you want to go bad for the bad food. And we're labeling it as good or bad, and look at good and bad or healthy, unhealthy as what serves you and the results that you want.
Like more ideal or less ideal for your situation.
Exactly. And pay attention to how you feel after you eat.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big one.
Yeah. So huge. That's step number 1. Once you've achieved that, I'll probably recommend all 3 of these collectively straight away off the bat. So when you have that consistency with healthy eating, start tracking your food as well.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, because that's how you're going to realize, okay, when I eat this food, I'm in a food coma.
Yeah.
When I eat this food, I'm grumpy. When I eat this food, I feel like crap. I feel bloated.
Yeah.
My performance at the gym is poor.
Yeah, you need awareness. People need awareness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And tracking helps bring that awareness.
It does, yeah.
And so when I get clients that feel a little bit like, if they're to track, they're going to become a bit of a demon surrounding it and they're going to lose themselves, because that can happen. I invite them to look at tracking their food. It's just a fun journal to gain more awareness around themselves and the food, like in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be an outcome. You don't have to focus on tracking for an outcome. But I guess this is an outcome, but the outcome of actually just gaining awareness around yourself and food and your relationship with food.
That's a fundamental part of being proactive with the food, is having awareness. And that's strengthening your relationship with food. Is just like, if I said to a client, what did you eat for lunch yesterday? And their eyes look up and they're like, and I'm like, wow, the awareness isn't there. So it doesn't, that's what we need to build, is that awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you also gain awareness around the psychological aspect of it. So are you going for, because you're bored?
Yeah.
Are you stressed at work? Something your business is frustrating you. So you're like, hey, everyone, do you want a coffee? And you go to Boss Brown, you know?
Yeah.
Without having that sort of tracking, for someone like you that has been doing it for a long time, you could kind of pick up on that in those moments.
Yep.
For a lot of people, they don't have any awareness around their food at all. And so that can be this autopilot on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And that could be feeding, the pun being,
feeding.
Yeah, they could be feeding much more unresourceful behaviors and beliefs within someone's life.
Yeah.
And so paying attention to that track, it could be in the form of something like MyFitnessPal, or you could just write it on your phone in your notes. You could have an actual physical diary, whatever you feel comfortable with, go ahead with that.
Yeah.
I personally would recommend an app like MyFitnessPal because the amount of people I get onto it and they're like, oh, wow, that's how much fat, carbs, protein is within this. And it helps them gain more awareness around the energy value and the quality of the food as well.
Yeah, cool.
Most people kind of find, okay, it's high in calories and it's something like a donut, they're probably going to recognize how bad they feel and how low in other nutrients it has. And then they're going to be able to put 2 and 2 together with other essences of life, not just the donut.
Yeah, definitely.
And the last one is prioritize your protein intake.
Yeah.
As you mentioned before, most of us, or most people, we don't. I know you eat plenty of protein.
Yeah, I love protein.
Yeah. If you're exercising or if you want to recover and gain muscle mass, it's important to feed your body with protein. So you're going to protein synthesis and recover your muscles. This is only in the case of like a bodybuilder or powerlifter. Like this is also for women. It's not just like, you're going to eat protein and you're going to be 100 kilos lean. It doesn't work that way. It's from a place of muscles are important within the body. There's also other hormonal responses. If we have higher muscle mass, then we're going to have lower body fat, or we're going to be burning body fat at a higher rate as well. And so focusing on protein intake. It is also more satiating.
Satiating.
I always say that wrong. I got it.
In satiety. In society. It is satiety, but then in the term, it's satiation. How satiated, how satisfied do you feel? How satiated you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you would eat protein, we're going to be more satisfied and you're going to be fuller for longer. And so it's just an easy way as well to fill those cravings, making sure you're not going to go crave a donut. You're going to you're going to feel good. You're going to feel better from having that protein as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. To revise on these 3 dot points as well, mainly the tracking and prioritizing your protein. Can you share, let's just share, you did mention this, but I just want to rehash on your top 2 tracking methods. What would be your top 2 tracking methods that you would use with clients?
Yeah, so MyFitnessPal, the first one.
That's an app you can download?
Yeah, just an app. I think it's like a blue background with a running man or something like that.
Yeah, like the one. Yeah. I think Under Armour bought it as well. It's a little Under Armour logo in there as well.
Yeah.
So MyFitnessPal, Yeah,
that'll be the first one. So that's when you can, super simple, download it. I wouldn't even get caught up in trying to follow the calories that are on it.
Yeah.
I would, if I was working with a client, I would get them just to track their everyday movements of their food.
Yeah, just log it.
Exactly, because they'll give them a guideline as well of what they've been eating.
Yeah.
A lot of people go straight to like, I want to change my calories. And so they never tracked before. They start eating better and tracking their calories, but they have no awareness of what they were doing prior to that.
Cool.
I think it's really important to have that knowledge.
Yeah.
And the other one will be to just using a specific food diary and writing a food diary and tracking that way.
Cool.
If you're doing it that way, also pay attention to your portion controls.
Yeah.
Like how much of this meat, if you were to use like a palm size of meat or 2 palms of meat or a cupped hand of carbs or 2 cups, and just write it on an actual physical diary.
Yeah, beautiful, cool. And then just with prioritizing your protein intake, what are some of your personally? What are some of the more common protein sources you have in your diet?
Yeah.
And then what are some of the common protein sources that you would have in a client's diet or meal plan as well?
Yeah. So much easier if you're a meat lover, a meat eater.
Just meat,
Which I'd recommend. I'll definitely recommend meat.
Yeah. Which includes fish and eggs as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Meat, fish and eggs,
Yeah. So animal products of some
animal
sort.
Products.
Yeah. So it'll be meat, the base. And then moving into something like eggs. Then you have protein as well, like protein shakes.
Protein shakes.
Protein powder.
Protein powder,
Tend to be very easy for people to utilize because most people are on the run. They don't have the time to really sit down and eat, or they don't believe they do. They don't prioritize that. And I would recommend prioritizing whole foods like whole meat and eggs and make a quiche or something if you don't want to eat meat. or a protein powder if you can't do all that.
Yeah, cool.
Then if you're vegan and vegetarian, it gets a little bit more complicated. You get protein in pretty much everything that we have, in most things that we have, but you could look at nuts, you could look at legumes and lentils and what have you, but yeah, they're a little bit more heavier in carbs and fat, and so you have to kind of be a little bit more tricky with that.
It takes time to transition. If you are or want to go vegan or vegetarian, just give your body time to transition into the extra fiber that's going to become in the body. The body just has to get used to breaking down this different volume of certain types of food as well. And you can, it is doable. You're just going to give yourself the time to do that as well. Cool. Should we go into mystery item time?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
I'm about to reach mine, so I've just decided I'm going to go first, if that's okay.
Go for it. Yeah.
So I'm going to hold this. I've got my GoPro in front of here. This is my mystery item. If you heard that on the microphone just once more. If you can guess what that is, it's a stainless steel protein shaker bottle. It's just a bottle. Stainless steel because stainless steel is just fantastic for the environment, and also plastic isn't really the healthiest thing to be consuming your food out of. So stainless steel is great because it's super easy to clean, super solid. This specific bottle, it's called the blender bottle. I don't know why it's called the blender bottle. I'll hold out to the main camera as well. That's the blender bottle. Because there's nothing to do with the blender from it. You just pour something out of a blender. Anyway, but this stainless steel bottle, I've had this for like 2 years now, and the amount of calories I've consumed through this has been really like phenomenal. But this is why I make it a mystery item, because just like the stainless steel drink bottle that I have on the table now, I have another stainless steel bottle that allows me to, it enables me, I should put this over here so it's not covering my camera. It enables me to be proactive about my food, and that's what's really special about it. So when I'm on the gain train, when I'm doing my ultramarathon training and trying to keep up with my lifting, I put in my Josh's Big Boy smoothie, which is like protein, double scoop of protein powder, frozen mango, frozen blueberries, there's coconut oil, MCT oil, honey, peanut butter, sometimes there's dates and dark chocolate in there as well. Just tons of calories. That means the moment I finish training session, I can just start glugging that down and get fuel back into my body. I carry this, I take this to the gym every single day with me. I drink carbohydrates and nutrients when I train. I got my greens powder at the gym. It just enables me to get a lot of my liquid nutrients in, and it's the vessel that gets me, helps me adhere to my proactiveness, which helped me discover that being proactive is super important. So that's my mystery item. It's a stainless steel protein shaker. Best thing ever.
That's a great one as well. I find when clients have a water bottle, their consumption of water is so much greater than when they don't.
You've joined the cool club, is what happens. Yeah. Once you buy a bottle and a stainless steel shaker, you're officially a fit person.
We'll dive into that. My mystery item is the Whoop.
It's his Whoop.
Yeah, which, as we're talking about, this pretty much classifies you being a fit person. If you wear one, instantly fit.
Instantly, exactly.
Right? Like in the eyes of people anyway, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry to cut you off. It is a decision to yourself that you're actually identifying as a fitness person, because you're choosing to track things that are relative to your biometrics.
Yeah.
A really big decision.
Yeah. So the biometrics that it tracks is your strain for the day, and it does that through your heart rate variability, your heart rate.
Strain is effectively your output for the day.
Yes, yeah. So it will track your output strain. It will track your sleep as well.
Yes.
And so it will track your deep, your REM sleep, your light sleep, how much you're awake throughout the night as well, your disturbances. And it tracks your heart rate variability.
Very important.
And so the consistency between the beats of the heart, I believe, is what it is. Awesome. And then each individual has different heart rate variability anyway.
Yes, exactly right.
But the reason why I want to share this one is because of what I'm currently going through with caffeine, but I've experienced it with many other products of food as well, that if I'm having something that's used caffeine, for example, the days that I have coffee, it instantly impacts my sleep and my heart rate variability. And so something like this not only gives me feedback into my sleep and my strain throughout the day, but also allows me to gauge, if we're out, let's say this weekend, and we eat a little bit too much gluten or dairy, if we eat any at all, might not be a factor actually. But the times that I've had gluten or dairy because I've been out on holiday or just what have you, my heart rate variability in my sleep is so much worse. And that's just more feedback. It's just more feedback letting me know that, hey, okay, you already know this, but now you know it even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is impacting you negatively. Is that something you want to continue to do?
Yeah.
And I love the Whoop for those purposes.
I think the key, what my key word that stood out is just feedback. Feedback is so important in both understanding how to navigate better and make adjustments in your journey, but also to remind you, to tell you when you're doing good as well, to reaffirm that you're making progress as well. And so I have just got my Whoop 4.0 now as well, because mine dropped out. My old model broke, and so now I'm like super excited about my Whoop, and my Whoop's it's like hit me in the ego again, because now that because I didn't have that feedback, it enabled me to take less responsibility over things. Yeah. And then now I look at my HRV and I'm like, oh, it's not as high as it used to be. I want to get it up again. And so it actually has helped give me, it's poking and prodding at my ego, and it's helping. It's helping. I invite that motivation in as well. So that's a cool thing, Nav. Now, I wanted to throw this segment into the show as well, to this episode. And it's just a couple of recommended resources that I think it just helped you and I as well in our journey. So two really cool people / podcasts / books to get into, which really help someone get clearer around their relationship with themselves. So when we focus on the psychological skills, there is actually, I'll let you, because you can see the notes, eh?
I saw your notes, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to, because this guy's your favorite. It was actually both of our favorite, but do you want to share about him?
I was starting about the OG guy.
The OG guy.
Yeah, Simon Sinek's.
That's him.
Start with why.
Yeah.
For a lot of people not many people probably know this at all, but that was a big purpose behind our purpose of starting the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's a book. Simon Sinek talks about starting with why.
Yeah.
Just gaining awareness around what your purpose is and why you're doing what you're doing, and connecting with that.
Exactly right.
And I'm assuming the reason why we're going down this for nutrition is because it's important to have a North Star, to have a purpose, because in reality, until the day you die, you're probably going to want to eat a Krispy Kreme. You're probably going to want some ice cream.
Yeah, they look sick. They look delicious.
So good, man. Those glazed Krispy
double glazed,
Kremes.
original double glazed, or original
so
glazed,
good.
whatever it is. It's like
heaven.
It's drugs.
Exactly. Well, literally is a drug. Yeah,
it actually is. Yeah.
So you're going to love that stuff until the day you die.
Yes.
What will help you overcome that is having a why, having purpose behind
a bigger reason.
Exactly. A bigger purpose.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So Simon Sinek's available on YouTube as well. Actually, my first ever TED Talk. If you don't know what TED Talk is, just YouTube it, TED. And my first ever TED Talk that I ever saw was Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. So Simon Sinek, his last name is Sinek. The Golden Circle, which explains the concept of starting with why. And it's like most people focus on the how and the what. Great businesses and great people focus on the why. And I was so inspired by that podcast that TED Talk. I watched it every day for 2 weeks straight. It was 20 times. I remember 20 times I watched it. And then I watched it again another 20 times over the following couple of weeks. And it ended up being 40 times I watched it, because it really inspired the shit out of me. So I love that. The next person or video that I wanted to raise was Marissa Peer. I Am Enough. Marissa Peer is a psychotherapist, or like a brain person of some sort, psychotherapist. She's a more of a psychologist. She's one of those types,
like a psychoanalyst or something like that.
Yeah, one of those. But she's a therapist. She's a therapist that has worked with lots of A-list celebrities, a lot of royal family as well, when they are struggling. She's worked with a lot of A-listers who have actually achieved their greatest dreams and aspirations and still not felt enough. And I resonate with that so much, is because when I was in high school, I just wanted to be jacked, six-pack, all this kind of stuff. And then I got into that male stripping journey where I was like, oh, wow, like I've got the women and like getting the lap dances and all this kind of stuff. And the lingering sensation of inadequacy still plagued me. And I was like, how do I get rid of this? And it was actually looking within, not looking externally to resolve that within myself. And although I discovered Marissa Peer after that journey, it brought light to what had happened during that journey within me. And when I went through my last couple of breakups with my last ex-girlfriend, I listened to Marissa Peer, I Am Enough, like a good, again, for about 1 or 2 weeks, just to help coach me through that state. And the I Am Enough is more sharing about how much our language affects our subconscious mind more than we know it. And so this helps you bring light to how you speak to yourself internally. So Marissa Peer's I Am Enough, that's a really important one. Going back towards the more technical skills now, we've already mentioned MyFitnessPal as a great app. We've mentioned Dr. John Barati, Precision Nutrition. Dr. John Barati is probably more helpful for people who are wanting to be coaches rather than wanting to be clients. Lane Norton and Eric Helms, they're two guys in the fitness industry that are helpful for beginners. They both have lots of good resources and books, and we'll link them in the show notes as well. So Nav, is there anyone else you wanted to add in terms of recommended resources?
There is one I would like to add on to that, and it's the Atomic Habits book by James Clear.
Well, great call. I could,
So the Atomic Habits, like atomic being small, right? It's like linking habits to achieve a new habit. And he dives into how to build habits, what is a habit, and how to make certain habits that you want to remove. So that's say a bad habit of eating poorly, how to make that habit as hard as possible to access, and then how to recreate a new habit so then you could access that much easier as well. So in regards to nutrition, how to remove the bad food and how to gain access to the good food and build habit upon eating healthy. And I think you could have all the technical terms and you could have all that in place, but which is probably why we're diving so much into the psychology of it all. Yeah. But you need to also have the psychology behind it and how to set a habit and how to create a habitual lifestyle that serves you and your healthy behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like Atomic Habits. I just wanted to throw in one impactful section of James Clear's book that was impactful for me, which was changing your identity around who you are as well. He used the conversation of a smoker, but when we talked about the Whoop, I'll use that as our example, is that when someone gets into fitness, a lot of people will say, I'm getting into fitness, I'm going to the gym now. And when you say you're getting into fitness, you're still identifying as someone who's not fit. Yeah. But if you say, I'm a fitness person now, I have a Whoop now, his example was, if two people are trying to quit smoking and someone offers them a cigarette, if you say, hey, I'm trying to quit smoking, it means you're telling yourself you identify as a smoker. Yeah. But if you say, no, sorry, I don't smoke, even though you just had a cigarette yesterday, but you now don't smoke anymore, you identify as a non-smoker. And so that these psychological shifts are really like these switches that you can flick within really help you transition into adhering to those technical skills, calories, macros, all that kind of stuff. So I reckon we'll wrap it up there. Yep. I was in my head, I was like, chicken wrap it up there. I'm sorry, ruined it. No. Cool. Let's wrap it up there. Health and Happiness team, thanks very much for tuning in. Our next episode is Movement, Nutrition, Sleep. Sleep.
Beautiful.
Sleep. Yes. I'm so excited.
Don't sleep on this one, guys.
Don't sleep on this one. There we go. Here's the music.
Yep. Beautiful.
Tune of the episode. Thanks, team. Thanks for watching, and please give us the feedback. Stay connected with us. You can find Nav and I both on social media, and you can find the Strength and Motion Show on all of the main platforms. And also just Google Strength and Motion Academy, and you'll hear all about us and everything that our gym does. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.